Hello everyone, today me and Luna are gonna present our story A Horse and Two Goats. This story is a part of the book Four Continents, which is a collection of 15 different stories, and the book was first published on the 20th April 1998. The story we chose, A Horse and Two Goats, was written by an Indian author, R.K. Narayan. Narayan was born in the 20th century, in particular in 1906, and then died at the age of 94 in 2001, always in India. Narayan, since he was little, has always been in awe with literature. For this reason, he began his career as a journalist when he was very young, and in a few years he became known internationally for his books. For this reason, he started also winning a lot of important awards. The books Narayan wrote have something in common because they all explore the differences that he found between the ancient traditions of India and the modern world in which he was living. The story was written almost for sure during the 20th century in India, which is a country situated in southern Asia. India is the second most populous country in the world because it has 1.3 billion of inhabitants. For this reason, it also has got many different religions, for example, Hinduism and Islam. And India has also got some other peculiarities. For example, India has still got a hierarchy because India is still based on a caste system which embodies much of the social stratifications and many of the social restrictions that India still has. Then India is also the place where Oriental philosophy was created. So the foundation, for example, of the Hindu philosophy, theology, and literature were born in India. And then India is also famous for its religious practices, for example, that are known internationally. For example, yoga, moksha, dharma, and karma are all practices that still exist nowadays and are still used in the modern world.
So we're gonna move now to the story analysis. So the story takes place in a small village in India called Kiritai, in which native people speak the Tamil language. Then the time is not specified, but due to some elements of the story, like the station wagon of the American, which is mentioned in the first half of the story, we can suppose that he has been placed in a pretty recent time, probably during the second half of the 20th century. The language and the style are simple and easy to understand, but there are some terms which are written in Tamil and which are related to the Hinduist religion, and so they might be hard to understand for people who don't know Hinduism. Then there's a strong symbolism because through the use of humor, the story addresses numerous social issues. Like, for example, when the American provides money for the Indian, like this is a metaphor of the capitalist system. Like, rich people believe that they can buy everything. And then the intended effect on the reader is an effect of amusement, since the story has a strong sense of humor. Now we're gonna move to the next slide. If we remember. Alright, so the main characters are two. Muni, who lives in the village. He is a farmer and he owns two goats. He's a simple and poor person and he is extremely religious. Then the second main character is a tourist from America, which is rich since he owns a station wagon, which is a pretty expensive car. And he is extremely attached to his money. And yeah, so I'm gonna move to the next one. I think so, yeah. So I'm gonna provide you now a little summary of the story. So the story begins with two statues, with the description of two statues representing a horse and a soldier. So now those two statues are situated in a small village in India, as we have mentioned before. Those statues seem to be forgotten by everyone. So then the first character, Muni, is introduced. He's waiting his bus to get back home next to the two statues, and he sees station wagon coming to him. And when the station wagon stops, a red-faced American dressed in khaki gets out of the car, and he makes some comments about the beauty of the statues, but Mooney doesn't understand since he doesn't speak English. And so a funny conversation between the two of them starts, where in which one speaks in Tamil, Muni, and the other one speaks in English. So during this conversation, Muni, in the first place, thinks that the American is a policeman, and so he says that he doesn't know anything about a murder that has happened in the neighborhood, in the nearby village. And but then he understands that the American is actually a good man. I think he does by the gesture of the man. And so he starts to tell the story of his life in the first place, and then he tells the story of the statues, which are supposed to be like the savior of humans because of a legend. And but during this whole time, the American just tries to ask Mooney the price of the statues and how he can transport them with his car because he is willing to buy them. But then when the old man understands that like money are going between the toll has entered the toll, like he thinks that the American man wants to buy his goats, and so at the very end, the American gives the money to the old Indian man, and the man, Muni, thinks that he has sold his goats to the tourist. Alright, now we're gonna analyze the last slide, which is about the main quotes of the story. So we found out those two quotes to be the most important ones, like for us. And so I'm gonna read them to you guys. So the first one says, "The horse reared his head proudly, prancing, with his forelegs in the air, and his tail looked up with a flourish." This is a personification of the horse, and we found it to be important because it describes the beauty and the majesty of the statue. And so it describes also the importance that those people of the village gives to the statue. So the second one is this statue yours? Will you sell it to me? Because it perfectly resumes like all the meaning. It resumes the whole meaning of the story, because it's about rich American who tries to buy a statue, which is sacred symbol for the native people of this Indian village. And so, yeah, it perfectly resumes the central point of the story. So, thank you guys so much for watching and for your attention. Have a good day.